Hey there guys, special video today because today I went to Gamescom in Cologne, Germany, where I played all the hottest upcoming games, including the two you see here, Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and for Wii U. These were the first games I played. As soon as I got in through the entrance, I pretty much rushed in search of the Nintendo booth, found it, stepped in line for Smash Bros., had to wait a couple minutes, but I did eventually get around to playing it, and boy was it good. They had me starting out on the 3DS version, which first match I picked Greninja, because I was planning on trying out as many of the newcomers as I could, so I figured I'm going to go with Greninja first. But the match didn't really go very well because I really was not used to the 3DS controls at all. Like the circle pad, it really takes some getting used to be able to pull off like smash attacks and dash properly. And I had quite a few up B attacks that didn't register at critical moments, which... Did I lose? I think I came in third in that match. Did not do so well. But I did quite like Greninja's moves. He's fast as hell, he has like a downward kick in the air, which is really good. He's a pretty damn solid character. Probably gonna play a lot more as Greninja as soon as I get my hands on the game myself. So after you played a match on the 3DS, they had you move over to the Wii U and play a match on there. In that match, I picked Little Mac. Because Little Mac, I have been dying to see him in Smash Bros. Since like forever. So, had to get my hands on Little Mac, and he is devastating. He's so fast, and he has like super armor on all of his smash attacks, so you can just punch through any of the opponent's attacks and just hit super hard. He is great. Little Mac will definitely be one of my mains as soon as the game actually comes out. I did, however, run into a glitch with Little Mac. I ended up getting the Smash Ball in that match. Little Mac's Final Smash transforms him into Gigamac from Punch-Out Wii, and I was just wrecking all the opponents with Gigamac when I walked into a spring, you know that blue and yellow thing from Mario, which was on the field. It was sideways. I walked into it, pushed the Gigamac back, and Gigamac ended up in this standard like T-shaped default pose that all 3D models pretty much have as their default. And he just stood there frozen, couldn't do a damn thing. Until the final smash eventually ended, I transformed back into Little Mac, and then I could move again. But it was definitely very weird, and luckily, I still ended up winning that match in spite of that, because I was just wrecking so hard with Little Mac. He was so freaking good. Oh, I'm so gonna play as him so much when I get my hands on the Wii U version. I am, of course, also gonna buy the 3DS version, but I'm pretty sure that one's gonna go relatively unused as soon as the Wii U version comes out. I mean, come on, if you have a choice for like which one you want to play, of course you're gonna pick the Wii U version, because you know it's gonna be better. But whatever, I ended up coming back to the booth a couple more times over the course of the day. I ended up playing as Mega Man on 3DS. He wasn't really all that good. Let me tell you that. I was really looking for some good melee options with Mega Man, but he really doesn't have any. Because his standard A attacks and his like sideways A attack are the Mega Buster shots, which really don't push the opponent back that much, so you can't really use them to deal with an approaching opponent. So, Mega Man, definitely one of the worst characters I played as. I'm not really that big of a Mega Man fan to begin with, but I don't see myself picking Mega Man an awful lot in the new Smash Bros. Games. He just didn't seem that good to me. And in the Wii U match that followed, I played as... who did I play as? Oh yeah, I played as Samus in the Wii U version. Because Samus was my main in Melee because she was just so ridiculously good in Melee. And then in Brawl, they nerfed her to hell for some reason. The charge shot had nowhere near as much knockback. The missiles were awful in Brawl. Samus was just slower altogether. Just horrible. So I figured I'm gonna pick Samus, see if they kind of undid all of that unjustified nerfing. And I'm glad to say they did. Samus is a freaking beast again. They even made the screw attack a useful move now, because it sends opponents way up if you hit them with like the final hit. It's great now. Just so Samus, definitely going to be one of my mains as well in Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U. Alongside Little Mac and probably a couple other characters. I don't really have that many set mains anyway. I mean, whenever I get together with my friends and we play Brawl, I'm pretty much picking a different character every match, while they tend to stick to like 1, 2, maybe 3 characters they know. Like one of them really only plays as Zelda, one of them really only plays as Kirby, one of them kind of swaps out between Toon Link and Luigi, and one kind of I think Wolf or King Dedede or Ganondorf or something. I'm decent with like half the roster. And let's see, then I came back to the booth again, played the 3DS version again as the Villager, and he was pretty solid as well. He had some fancy little projectile moves that he has like a side B, is this weird puppet thing which he shoots out like a rocket. That move is great, because he can either ride the rocket or just send the rocket off on his own. And if you just send the rocket off on his own, you can really use that to approach safely. Just walk right behind the rocket, the opponent has to dodge or block it, and then you can strike right at the opportune moment. So, I didn't really have many high hopes for Villager when he was first confirmed for Smash Bros., but he may actually turn out to be a pretty decent character as well. And I didn't get to play another Wii U match after that because they were shutting down the booth, because it was like 7 PM already. So that was a bit of a bummer. But still, I got 5 good matches in, played as 4 of the newcomers, and 1 veteran. Didn't get to play as Rosalina or Wii Fit Trainer. I think those were the only 2 newcomers that I didn't try out. But honestly, Wii Fit Trainer, I'm not really that hyped for her anyway, and Rosalina seems really complicated. So, yeah, that's really all there is to say about Smash Brothers. Definitely gonna be the must-have Nintendo game for this fall. If you're not buying this, you have no right to call yourself a Nintendo fan. The first game I tried out after racing to the Smash Bros. Booth as soon as I got in was Assassin's Creed Unity. Because I figured I played Assassin's Creed Black Flag because it looked cool, and it turned out to be one of my favorite games of this. Well, actually, not this year, it came out last year. So, one of my favorite games of last year. And I figured, okay, they're only gonna go above and beyond from here. So, stood in line for Assassin's Creed Unity, because I remember for Black Flag, I played Black Flag at Gamescom last year, and you had to wait like 2 hours. So, there was a pretty short line at Assassin's Creed Unity. I figured I'm gonna jump in there while the line is still that short. However, I then understood why the line was that short. It wasn't a playable demo. They crammed a lot of people into like this sort of theater to watch someone else play a demo. Like a Ubisoft representative. That was kind of a dick move, because there was no way to see from the outside that you were just going to watch a demo instead of play one yourself. So that's kind of lame. And to be honest, I'm not really all that excited for Assassin's Creed Unity. It doesn't really get me all riled up like Black Flag did. I don't know, maybe it's the setting. I'm not really too keen on the French to begin with. The main character, well, I guess none of the Assassin's Creed main characters have been that interesting. Edward was a pretty cool guy, but I'm not really that fond of any of the other ones. But yeah, the gameplay looked pretty good. And much to my surprise, if you, like, kill an enemy, and other enemies see that, the French guards will immediately attack you instead of surrendering. I totally expected them to soil themselves in fear and raise the white flag as soon as possible, because let's face it, that's what French people are known for. But no, jokes aside, it looked pretty good. I'm I might pick it up. I think it comes out like the end of October. But still, I'm pretty bummed that I didn't actually get to play Assassin's Creed Unity myself. Assassin's Creed Rogue, on the other hand, pleasantly surprised me because I went there after I went to Unity, and I was kind of expecting, like, watching a presentation for this one as well, but no, this one was actually a playable demo, which I found kind of confusing because I believe Unity is the one that's actually releasing first. Also, apparently one Assassin's Creed game per year isn't enough anymore, they're doing 2 Assassin's Creed games per year now. Anyway, this game, after playing it, it kind of made me a lot happier than Assassin's Creed Unity did, because this game is basically Black Flag copy-pasted with a different skin on it. I played it, the controls, pretty much, you started out with like a naval portion, just big ship battle. It controlled exactly the same as Black Flag. Every single button did the same thing that it does in Black Flag. So they are being really lazy with this one, but because it's more of the naval battle goodness that I liked in Black Flag, I'm probably gonna end up picking this one up as well. One thing that did kinda bum me out though, the main character, I don't even know his name, I don't even think they said that in the demo anywhere. He is such a boring stick in the mud. I mean, Edward Kenway, he was awesome. Like a wisecracking pirate asshole who just doesn't really care about anyone but himself, and then we have this guy who was pretty much as bland as all of the other main characters in the Assassin's Creed franchise. He's almost as bland as Altair was. So, I don't know his name, I don't know his motivation. I'm guessing from the title that he's a rogue assassin or something, because the demo wasn't really all that plot heavy. It started out in like the Arctic, in a big ship battle, and you had to, after winning said ship battle, you had to go and find some shipwreck. And pretty much as soon as you reached the shipwreck, the demo ended. You didn't get to see what was inside, you didn't get to see any story motivation really, you didn't get to see squat. But whatever. I kind of wish though that this one came out on PS4 as well, because this one is only for PS3 and Xbox 360. So this one's like the last gen Assassin's Creed, and then Unity is going to be the next gen only Assassin's Creed. Also, why isn't this one coming out on the Wii U? Assassin's Creed 3 did, Black Flag did. Apparently Ubisoft is dropping the Wii U like a brick as well. So, does the Wii U even have any third-party games at this point if Ubisoft is dropping them? I thought Ubisoft was like the last third-party developer that even gave a shit about the Wii U. Oh well, at least there's always Smash Brothers. Another Ubisoft game I played was Far Cry 4. Yes, this was also a playable demo as opposed to a presentation. I haven't played any other Far Cry games. I've heard Far Cry 3 in particular is supposed to be really good. I have it, it's on my pile of games I need to play, just haven't gotten around to it yet. The pile keeps on growing and growing. But anyway, Far Cry 4. You're a guy, I don't know his name, I don't think they said that in the demo anywhere, who I think gets dropped in like the Himalayas or something, in some sort of backwater nation over there, and then gets involved in all sorts of shenanigans or something. So, basically, the demo mission you played, you had to storm a fort or something. You could either like sneak in or ride an elephant through the front gates. Guess which one I went with? No, not the sneaking. So, if I want to play Metal Gear, I would have gone and played Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain, which was also present. Which I kind of regret not playing now, actually, now that I think about it. Oh well. Guess I'll go and play Ground Zeroes again. But whatever, Far Cry 4. The demo was pretty difficult. Didn't really help that they started you out with the worst possible weapon ever. You had like a crossbow that shot one arrow at a time. It was really easy to miss with because the enemies would not stand bloody still. And the elephant I rode through the front gates turned on me as soon as I stepped off of him. So yeah, I kind of regretted taking him in then. If I knew the elephant was going to attack me as well, I would have just done the sneaking thing. But the gameplay, it was pretty solid. You could like climb on all the houses and take advantage of the height differences and all that stuff. Even though I didn't actually get to finish the demo because I kept on dying and dying and dying until eventually I was shooed away by the Ubisoft people there because other people wanted to come and play it. But yeah, it was a pretty solid game. I'm probably not going to pick it up on launch day. Probably going to have to play Far Cry 3 first. See if I like it a lot more. And then maybe if that's the case, I'll go and pick this one up eventually as soon as it gets a little cheaper or something. But if you liked Far Cry 3, you definitely want to keep an eye on this one. Next, I stood in line at the Sony booth for 2 hours. Because Sony has no clue how to set up their stage, apparently. Basically, what they had was one big line for everything they had there. So if you were only interested in one of the games they had up there, you still had to wait in line after all the people who wanted to play like all the other games. So that kind of bummed me out. Sat there for 2 hours. Luckily I had my 3DS with me. Played some Pokemon in the meantime. But yeah, Sony had a lot of stuff at their booth. They had The Order 1886, Infamous First Light, Bloodborne, The Last of Us Remastered for some reason, even though that came out like 2-3 weeks ago. Why the hell would they still be showing that off? Diablo 3, something called Guns Up or something. Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, that's all they had for what you had to stand in line for. Of all those games, I was only really interested in The Order 1886 and Infamous First Light. So I went to The Order first because there was an open spot there. They only had 2 PS4s playing Infamous First Light. There wasn't a lot of demand for that one. Strange, because Infamous Second Son was a major sales hit as far as I can recall. But whatever, The Order 1886. Made by the same team that made God of War Chain of Olympus and God of War Ghost of Sparta. One of the worst God of War games and one of the best God of War games. So I didn't really know what to expect. I think they also made like the PSP spin-off with Jak and Daxter or something. They're not really the biggest development studio Sony has in their arsenal. So I guess this is kind of their first really big, major console game that's not like on a handheld. But it's pretty unique. It was quite heavily cinematic. It kind of gave me a bit of a Heavy Rain feel at times. But then there's also... It's basically like a third-person shooter mixed with Heavy Rain. And the shooting was pretty cool. They had some really interesting guns. I saw like a laser rifle that the beam could like curve around corners or something. That was really cool. And the gun the character that you were playing as had basically shot bullets made of something flammable or whatever. And then you had to use the gun's secondary fire which was like a big fireball to set the bullets aflame, and then boom, big explosion, kill all the enemies or something. Really cool gun. The game itself was, the graphics were great. Probably, definitely on par, if not better than Infamous Second Son and Killzone Shadowfall. So definitely a game to look out for. I'm a little on the fence about picking up on launch day, but I'll probably end up picking this up somewhere down the line. I mean, gotta have something to play on my PS4 next year after all. And then I also checked out Infamous First Light, which is coming out in about 2 weeks. So if you can't wait for this one, then you won't have to wait long for it, at least. Basically, it played pretty much the same as Infamous Second Son, which is not a bad thing at all. I loved that game. So I will definitely be playing through this on launch day. So looking forward to it, even though it's not really my favorite Infamous Second Son character that they gave the starring role here to. But whatever, maybe if this one does well, they'll do more of these standalone expansions. Because there are a couple other conduits in Second Son's story that I guess could have their backstory revealed in a similar way as they're doing in Infamous First Light. Basically, the demo was kind of a horde mode-ish thing. You were locked up in the conduit prison, which they mentioned in Second Son. and you were like training your powers against holograms, and they just kept on coming and coming, and eventually you died, and that was pretty much the end of the demo. The gameplay was pretty solid, so exactly the same as Infamous Second Sons, which is not a bad thing by any means. It's, I think this is going to cost like $15 when it comes out in 2 weeks, so that's a pretty solid deal. You don't even need Second Son to download this and play this. Even though I see no reason why, if you have a PS4, you really should own Infamous Second Son, in my opinion. That's like the biggest exclusive on the system right now. So if you have a PS4 and don't have Infamous Second Son, shame on you. So after the Sony booth, I was starving. I went to go and get some grub, and I kind of walked around the store corner a bit, where they had like all sorts of merchandise stores and stuff. And I came across these. A shit ton of like Monster Hunter figurines. And look at them, they look awesome. But also, you can see some price tags on them. That was kind of a holy shit moment. I mean, these things were so expensive, and they weren't all that big. I'd say those black things they stand on, they could probably fit in the palm of your hand pretty easily. Like, I'd say those black things were about as... yeah, they could probably fit in my hand, and then I could probably cross my fingers over them. So they weren't that big, they were pricey as all hell. Would have maybe loved to pick a few up, but not at that price. I mean, what am I, made of money? They also had a shit ton of Pokemon plushies there. So I went digging through the huge boxes of them, hoping to perhaps find a plushie of my favorite and signature Pokemon, Avalugg. But apparently Avalugg isn't Pokemon plushie material. There were like tons of Chespins and Froakies and Inkay and Amora and Tyrunt and Diancie and Carbink and a couple other new Pokemon. No Avalugg. What the hell's wrong with all the Japanese people? Why don't they like Avalugg? So that kind of bums me out. Hell, I even went looking on Google as soon as I got home, and apparently there is no Avalugg plushie anywhere. So that kind of makes me very, very sad. The Pokemon Company needs to make one already. I would totally buy it. After returning from my plushie searching frenzy, I came across the Dying Light booth, at which there was pretty much no line whatsoever. And I do recall having this game pre-ordered already, so I figured I'd better go and check it out, see if that pre-order may or may not need to be cancelled. So, basically it's a zombie game, in like a huge town, and when the sun is up, the zombies are kind of docile and you're not really in danger, but as the sun goes down, oh, you will have to run and fight for your life, because those things are bloody vicious. I ended up dying a whole bunch of times. I didn't... well, they kind of had you restart close to where you died, but the whole demo was timed, so... of course, you were going to run out of time eventually if you kept on dying. But it was definitely one of the more fun zombie games I've played. Not as fun as, like, Dead Rising 2 off the record. But as far as, like, serious zombie games go, it's definitely among the more fun ones. I'd say it's more fun than Left 4 Dead or Dead Island or whatever. I am kinda hoping that this whole zombie craze is gonna die down soon. Because am I the only one that's getting sick and tired of zombies? I mean, have something else be the hot new enemy thing in video games. Why not dinosaurs? We need more dinosaur games. How about you make like a survival game where you're in a jungle on an island full of dinosaurs? That sounds like a freaking recipe for money right there. But no, zombies, that's much easier because they're humanoid, easier to make, yada yada, we're lazy developers. Just make a bloody dinosaur survival game already. And the last game I ended up playing was Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Now, let me tell you this in advance. If you have any interest in playing Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, I would highly recommend you go out and buy a 3DS XL. The same thing goes for Smash Brothers on 3DS, by the way. because I played Smash Brothers on 3DS XL at the demo stand, but Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate was only on regular tiny 3DSs. And I don't know, the screen was just too tiny, really. Couldn't really see what was going on that well. I think you really need a bit of a bigger screen. And honestly, the regular 3DS is kinda too tiny for my huge man hands anyway. But yeah, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, the new gameplay changes, like the climbing on stuff and all the new, differences in elevation, that was pretty cool. Definitely a more, I'd say it's better implemented than the whole underwater fighting from 3 Ultimate. So I played one, I did like a great jaggy hunt, picked the insect staff weapon. I had no clue how to use that thing. And I didn't really like it. Can't block. The attack animations went on for bloody forever, making it a lot harder than it needed to be to roll away from attacks. I almost got my bloody ass kicked by a great jaggy. How embarrassing is that? Maybe because I was soloing it. Because there was no one else at the Monster Hunter 4 stand. So I was pretty much doing a 4-man quest by myself. Because I had to pick like weapons for all the 3 other 3DSs hooked up to the thing as well. And they just stayed behind in base camp while I went and soloed the Great Jaggy. I did end up completing it by myself, like barely before the time limit ran out. But that demo was definitely meant to be played with 4 people if you didn't want to stand there for 15 bloody minutes. But still, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, it's definitely going to be good. But you'll definitely want to be playing it on a 3DS XL, trust me. Honestly, what I would love the most is a Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate HD for Wii U. And then just have the ability to transfer your save file to and fro like they did with Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. Because let's face it, if you can play the same game on a console and on a handheld, you would be an absolute bloody moron to prefer the handheld version over the console version. I pretty much only played Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on Wii U. I only played it on 3DS when I went like on vacation or something and I couldn't bring my Wii U with me. So I had to make do with the 3DS version. But yeah, Capcom, if you're watching this, I rather doubt that. But how about a Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate HD? Pretty sure the Japanese are going to eat that up as well. The Wii U can use a little sales boost in Japan from what I've heard. Anyway, that's pretty much my recap of Gamescom 2014. Hope you liked it, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Because I'm off to go and see Guardians of the Galaxy now. And I'm pretty excited for that, heard it's good. So I'll probably end up watching that in theaters multiple times. Anyway, thanks for watching, I'll see you later, bye bye.